What's good, guys? Really late video, but I've been working on so many updates that's recently came out, just like AV and ALS, but finally got done with ALS portion, so maybe AV update soon video. But I'm just gonna be showcasing all the new extreme boost units and yeah. Okay, so starting off with Heavenly Chad. Essentially what he does is if this or if like an enemy has like tons of DOT on it, it like applies this, which it takes a lot more damage and is slowed permanently. But if you have Dio Godly, then it essentially doesn't need that like status effect such like DOT. So then it just instantly applies. And then so what this is saying is any crit miss, it gets like crit chance, and then until it's 100%, or when it's 100%, it starts getting crit damage. And then if Ancient, they both get buffed, and Heavenly Chad can stun, and then it's just timesing damage by a lot if Dio and Heavenly Chad are both in. Um, and then once you upgrade him a few times, he unlocks a new passive. Right here. Essentially what this is saying is it'll cycle in between one of these. So this does 5 times damage to all enemies in range, time stops, healing, blah blah blah. You can kind of just read that all for a second. So yeah, once you upgrade them a few more times, you should be able to get to a ability. Hold on, I just gotta farm for a second here. Yeah, you get an ability called Heavenly Domain and Existence Erase, or yeah, exist. I'm not gonna even try to pronounce that, but it's another ability. Essentially, what these two do is one's a giant like time stop type thing, and then another is like Lulu's like half. It's like an off-brand Lulu ability where it just like halves everyone's like damage and all that. All right, and then let's hop into the next showcase. So our next showcase is Giorno Extreme Boost. Essentially what he does is um when an enemy is killed, it spawns a scorpion which scales off of the HP that it currently had when it died, as well as it stuns on contact, and enemies are slowed by 1% every second in the range up to 30% when the scorpion is killed. The ability, it essentially it like whenever the boss, so like say the boss is right here, it'll like take damage, and then once the ability's over, it'll like go back to that, and then at or like once it's done, it takes all the damage it dealt, and then comes back here. And then once we get to the second passive, it's basically a like a buff to the scorpions, so it and now they inflict bleed and stun, and enemies are slowed up to 60%, which each scorpion doing 2% for each of that. Anyways, let's go to the next showcase. Our next showcase is Dante. Essentially what he does is he gains one combo on each attack, and every one combo he gets 0.25% damage. And then this is essentially the combo thing. So every 10 combos he like buffs this up. So by the time he gets to 15, or by the time he gets to SSS, he gets 15 times damage. I'm pretty sure that's what it's saying, or the blaze multiplier. Um, and then once it gets to SSS, it locks the combo thing, and every seventh attack it deals blaze, and it also gets 20% crit damage, 40 or negative 40% SPA, which is really good, and 30% more range. And then every eighth attack, I'm pretty sure this is when its placement. Every 8th attack deals 10x damage in range, applying a lot of debuffs, which is this is really good. Black's Flames is really good, and Rupture is really good. And then once you get to his like trigger thing, I'll try to get it to SSS real quick to show you guys what the nuke or what the ability does. Okay, so we're at SSS. Essentially what the ability does is it gains 70% combo and enters like a devil form. And what the devil form does is it gives him Rupture. It instantly gives him Rupture no matter what. Increases his damage and crit damage by every combo, I think. And yeah, that's basically showcase for Dante. Let's get on to another showcase. Okay, so this is what Benimaru does. Yes, Scorched on placement, or sorry, Blaze on placement, and every enemy that enters his range for the first time gains Scorched for 30 seconds, which is a really good DOT. And then essentially what this is saying is any fire-related DOT, like Black Flames or Sunburn or whatever like that, it applies to Benimaru, and DOTs are 200% buffed with Benimaru. So, and then he unlocks Black Flame no matter what at upgrade 5, so which is really good. And then Sunwheel Formation and Destruction, I haven't really figured out what those do yet, but it's 100% to do with Destruction, and I don't know if that's bugged or not, but I haven't got it to go up a single time, so yeah. Anyways, our last showcase or for this run is Garu. He's honestly one of the best godlies in the game now since they extreme boost him. So every 20 attacks, he does a lot of damage, really long SPA, but 100% crit chance for 2 attacks. The first one applies detonation and bolt, which is really good because he has plasma, as well as his second ability does, or second attack does rupture and unstable, which is really good because it gives more damage to people. And then once we get to the third upgrade, he gets modes, which you can pop all 3. This one gives 50% damage, 50% range, 25% range, 75% damage, and 50% damage minus 30 SPA. And then I'm gonna just skip over a little bit real quick of the upgrades. But essentially, every mode unlocks like a new ability, and he also pairs really well with Baldy with this mode right here, and essentially just gives him so much more damage and range. So here are the 2 new passives. One every 100 second it applies 200% range and 35% more damage for 3 attacks, as well as it gives crippled, weakened, and exposed and restriction. And then his fifth upgrade passive. Whenever a boss enters the range, he applies an enormous amount of debuffs and DOTs, and he does 50% its damage right now, which would be 50 bill to a boss. And Plasma does 3x damage instead of 1.5 to the boss permanently, which is really good. And yeah, you just keep popping the modes, and this is what the portal one does. It essentially, like, anytime you can place it wherever the track, you could place it right here, for example, and it pops up with a portal on. And so essentially when a person walks into this, they like start walking backwards and then to the base. And then the third ability you get is a almost like a it like changes his attacks and just gives more damage. So like Cone gives 100% damage minus 25% SPA, but then the circle one gives 200% damage but plus 35 SPA. So I think it's really good. Plus it has like a kind of nuke to it because it deals 10% max HP cap 2 trill, so it's kind of more or less like a nuke and a buff at the same time. So yeah, that's kind of it for this run's but showcases. I'll hop into the next run with the last two extreme boost units. All right, so our last showcase is Grimmy. Essentially what he does, he kind of just randomly does stuff. So like as you can see, this is changing every like attack. Um yeah, but he always has random, and then every so often he goes from detonation to flame to soaked. And then his, if you give me 1 second, his nuke is essentially a nuke. He deals 5 trill in range and then applies sunburn, and it scales off the unit's damage as well as despair. It's actually really good nuke for only a celestial and all that. And then so his passives are, this is talking about the whole swapping between the abilities and all that, or the attacks and all that. And then this is talking about he gets like bonus damage for like every 0.025% of like the enemy's current HP, and he like has a chance of spawning clones and stuff like that, which is actually it's pretty good. And then after the 5 attacks from the clone explode, and then the clones do 10x damage. And then it gets, and if an enemy leaves the clone's range, then it gets 50% chance crit and 200% crit damage, and it can only be triggered once. So, and then this is kind of just giving him more damage, and this is talking about the and then it talks about like doubling his placement limit if you've attacked the same enemy 10 times and deal more than 1 trillion to a enemy. And then this is just talking about more buffs with clones. So that was all the showcases. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I'll be hopefully trying to post more. Maybe a Vanguard video, maybe later in this week if I can even evolve like most of the units, because I'm kind of getting back into the game and I only really have Sung Jin Woo Monarch. So all right, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.